I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle. Thanks for being with us tonight. China's BFFs. That's the focus of tonight's angle.
The biggest reasons for democracy's weakening is the profound change that's taken place in how we communicate and consume information. Our new information ecosystem is turbocharging some of humanity's worst impulses. Lies, conspiracy theories, junk science, quackery, white supremacists, racist tracts, misogynist screeds. People are dying because of misinformation.
Okay, this is Rich. With his party on the brink and his former VP on the ropes, Barack Obama thinks that he's going to, turn the tide by attacking the few news sources in the United States that are actually telling the truth about the results of his party's policies? So labeling the views of an effective opposition as dangerous disinformation, which is what he did today at Stanford, it's the common tactic of dictators like Putin and Xi. So this brings me to this question. Why is the left, why are Democrats so cowed by China and so condemnatory of their own country? Now, we all know that the left doesn't think twice about punishing perceived wrongdoers here at home. When the LG, BLM, CDC announce new rules, you better follow them or else. You use the wrong pronoun, you're banned. Posts that you didn't get your booster shot, hey, you could lose half your following on Twitter. You raise your voice at a school board meeting? Oh, the DOJ is going to put you on a terror watch list or threaten to. But where are the left's social order enforcers when it comes to China? Even when the CCP is starving 25 million people in Shanghai, even when they're crushing freedom in Hong Kong or funding Russia's assault on Ukraine, spreading anti-American bile online, are they covering up the truth about COVID, imprisoning the Uyghurs, bankrolling Russia's war in Ukraine? Biden's team continues to pretend that President Xi is someone we can work with in good faith. Take climate czar John Kerry, who's kind of like a desperate girlfriend begging her ex to get back together long after he's moved on.
Some of the differences of opinion between our countries have been hardened and sharpened, and that makes the diplomacy more complicated. I am in touch with my counterpart, Xi Jinping. He's working in good faith. But if climate becomes one of the tools, one of the weapons in the bilateral back and forth, we're cooked. We're in serious trouble.
Oh, yeah, we're cooked all right. Because China is playing you every step of the way, John. Mouthing platitudes about the climate as China moves forward full steam ahead, building coal plants, just as they always were. It's ridiculous. And China obviously knows it can just as easily bamboozle our defense secretary. The Chinese wouldn't even return Lloyd Austin's multiple calls for, almost a year? And when they finally did take his call this week, it was only after the CCP announced its new security pact with the Solomon Islands, which gravely weakens our position in the region. Austin got nothing from his talks except an earful about how America needs to stay out of the whole Taiwan situation. This is just another Biden diplomatic failure. This is not what they promised us.
As Joe Biden is probably the most experienced foreign policy expert since George H.W. Bush.
I support Joe Biden because beginning on day one, he will restore Americans' leadership and restore the alliances we need to address the dangers that threaten our nation.
Joe Biden will restore our battered standing in the world because he knows that our true strength comes from setting an example that the world wants to follow.
The world wants to follow? Well, of course, this was all smoke and mirrors. For the decades that I've been in Washington, Biden has always been known as kind of a goofball grifter, a glad-hander. China knows it owns Biden and that he's never going to stand up to them. Biden showed his true colors, remember, during a speech there in 2011.
I recognize that many of you in this auditorium see our advocacy of human rights as, at best, an intrusion and, at worst, an assault on your sovereignty. I want to tell you directly that this is not our intention.
And even Biden said that he understood China's one-child policy of forced abortions.
But As I was talking with some of your leaders, you share a similar concern here in China. You have no safety net. Your policy has been one which I fully understand, I'm not second guessing, of one child per family.
Now, imagine if he was this understanding to conservative Americans and their concerns at home. But the truth is, this soft pedal approach to China, it's not limited to the Democratic Party and politicians. They're not the only powerful people bending over backwards to accommodate China. Just think about how Disney blew up against Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida over that parental rights and education law. We have to protect trans kids, they said. But if Disney really cared so much about LGBTQ rights, why are they silent about China's increasingly hostile attitude toward gays? Or when China edits the gay scenes out of American films and TV shows? Or when they demand only masculine characters on TV? Well, of course, these same liberals are fine, though, when Twitter censors and suppresses conservatives like Trump and even yours truly. And even as China has banned Twitter in their own country since 2009, the Twitter mafia continues to give the Chinese government accounts free rein. They have free rein to trash America on Twitter 24/7. No repercussions in big tech for China, ever. The sellout of freedom at the NBA, though, is just as bad. After supporting the radicals at BLM and railing against America for its structural racism, the NBA is in a perpetual bow to China, all to preserve its lucrative TV deal there. So LeBron and the biggest NBA stars feel so virtuous, opining about how bad things are in America for black people, yet they will not say a peep about the horrific abuses happening to millions of oppressed Chinese. Social justice frauds, all of them. But this sucking up to China goes far beyond the NBA, too. And it goes to most of the major media outlets in the United States. Where's the outrage about China's zero COVID policy? Millions upon millions in Shanghai are at risk of starvation, thousands forcibly pulled out of their homes, separated even from their kids. And our press does everything in its power to kind of sidestep what's really happening there.
China, the other big country dealing with this, they have a different policy. It's a zero COVID policy. They haven't quite achieved that, obviously, but they are having some progress.
Beijing's zero COVID policy appears to be quite successful.
Quite successful. And not just that they're ignoring or downplaying China's role in keeping Russia afloat financially during the Ukraine invasion. Now, meanwhile, they brand anyone who questions our own military involvement in Ukraine as pro-Putin. Of course, none of this makes any sense, because you really can't be anti-Putin if you're also pro-Xi, which our press effectively is. So what does the left's refusal to stand up to China tell us? I think it proves that they believe in nothing except money and power. If the left really cared about autocracy and racism, genocide, Islamophobia, gay rights, Putin, the climate, then they would criticize China more than they criticize, say, Florida or Texas. And this also proves that any Democrat who claims to care about China, you remember Tim Ryan in Ohio, is either naive or just lying. Having Biden in the White House is China's dream come true. And anyone who supports Biden is just helping China. This also proves that the Democrats were never intending to pivot to Asia. Remember that? They're going to concede Asia to China and, I guess, just focus on defending Eastern Europe against China's ally, Russia. Twisted, but it's true. It also proves that Democrats believe conservative Americans are a bigger threat than the communist Chinese. Have you ever heard Biden's Attorney General or Kamala Harris criticize China like they criticized the rally attendees on January 6th? It proves that Democrats are either under the thumb of the donor class. Well, of course they are. Unlike Republicans who are fighting big business over the China issue, the Democrats are taking the side of Disney, Apple, the NBA, and other big donors. Finally, their refusal to speak plainly about China's abuses proves that Democrats just cannot be trusted to manage our foreign policy. I think standing up to China is the single biggest challenge we face today, and it's likely the biggest one we're going to face for decades. And with Biden, we have a president who's compromised because of his son Hunter's big China payout. Now, the Democrats may never want to cancel China for all that it has done to undermine our country and freedom everywhere. But I fully expect that the voters in America will cancel them in November. And that's the angle.